It is April 7th, 2022. Thank you for watching the Calvary briefing today. I'm going to be talking to you about Confessions of a Sophisticated Sloth. And Greg Morse wrote this article, and the subtitle is The Subtle Way to Waste Your Life. If you had 5 years to live, how would you invest those years? Would it make any difference to you tomorrow to know that you had just these days and these years left? Do you feel the preciousness of time and how significant it is? Are you truly living in the time that you have? And do you ever think about the good that you could have done with your life? Is there any chance that you might be a sophisticated sloth? Greg Morse looked at several Proverbs and began to see some of himself in these Proverbs, and he identified 4 ways in which we as human beings can be sophisticated sloths, wasting time. The first way that Morse identified is that we are slow to begin our tasks. The traditional sluggard does not begin tasks at all, but we hear his voice crying out in Proverbs 22, verse 13. There's a lion outside. I shall be killed in the streets. The sloth sees danger and completely keeps away from what he should be doing. Morse found a poem that was interesting based on this proverb. There's a lion stalking the square. Travel to work? I don't dare. I shall stay in and feast. Oh, that irksome beast. This confinement is too much to bear. He says they prevent him from going to church. There's a lion purring the pews. Upon good men's bones it chews. Surely none could find fault in avoiding assault. I'll wait till next week to hear the good news. We can be a sophisticated sloth when we are slow to begin our work because of little excuses that we see in the world around us. The second way that Morse identifies the sophisticated sloth is that this individual is very quick to take a break. We are told in Proverbs 19 that the traditional sluggard buries his hand in the dish and will not even bring it back to his mouth. This is a sad picture. The slothful person here has actually begun to eat. There's a dish out, but he is so lazy and so inattentive to what he must do to survive that he doesn't even lift his hand to his mouth. It's a bit ridiculous, but we can see that there are many distractions around us, and oftentimes when we are involved in work that is supposed to keep us occupied, we are very quick to take a break. A man by the name of John Foster says that over this type of person you could write this epitaph. Here lies a person who has lost nothing by being buried, for he is just as good a man underground as he was above. The third way that Greg Morse identifies a sophisticated sloth is that this individual is often open to interruptions. Many times we look at our phones, text messages come in, our phones also indicate email coming in, and we are very open to those kinds of interruptions and we don't stay focused on our tasks. There's a book entitled Deep Work, which says that because we don't do deep work anymore, many areas of our nation are failing. In the book of Proverbs, we read in the 24th chapter, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a robber, and want like an armed man. The thief of time today is a tiny man. He specializes in little, just a little sleep, a little slumber, a little surfing of the internet, a little text message conversation, a little checking of social media, a little checking of ESPN. Finally, the sophisticated sloth today puts off harder work. In Proverbs 24, verses 30 and 31, Solomon writes, I passed by the field of a sluggard, by the vineyard of a man lacking sense, and behold, it was overgrown with thorns. The ground was covered with nettles, and its stone wall was broken down. This individual had put off harder work, and the sophisticated sloth can do the same thing today. Jesus had a lot to say to us about how to live our lives. And in Matthew chapter 25, he talks about different kinds of servants. And the kind of servant that we want to be is spoken of in Matthew 25:21. When we see Jesus face to face, we would like to hear these words. Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. The slothful servant, afraid of his master and suspicious of his master's motives, buried his talent in the ground. He doesn't lose it, but he doesn't improve on it either. And to this man, the master says, you wicked and slothful servant, you ought to have invested my money with the bankers, and at my coming I should have received what was my own with interest. Cast this slothful servant out into utter darkness. We might not be lazy, but we might suffer from a little bit of slothful behavior. Obviously, we want to be like the servant in Matthew 25 who heard those words from his master, well done, good and faithful servant. Time is precious. Now is the time to live. Now is the time to work. Now is the time to love.